S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the U.S. And
Mhm.
then that total stock market is literally the total stock market.
All of them.
So
Yeah.
yeah, all the companies. So once again, reducing your risk and instant
Yeah.
diversification because
Right.
those are like buzzwords that people always try to throw around. Like really a lot of that I really don't even care
Discipline
about.
that it took for her to save that amount of cash really meant she wasn't willing to lose. So that savings for her was her guaranteed
Mm-hmm.
growth.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't looking at it as interest. I even asked, I said, well, man, how much they give you on interest? She said, interest? I don't know. I mean, like she was looking at me like I was crazy.
So today we are talking about the purpose of saving. This is day 4. And with that, my intention or my thought behind that chapter was, or this section is, that there are lots of people that have money that they've been saving for years or whatever that proverbial rainy day is. So my thinking on that is those same people may not even have any investments at all, very little, or they just have like whatever they're putting into their retirement, which is a good thing. You need to be building that too, but you should also be building some other money for yourself. So my thinking on that was, well, S&P 500, less risk, top 500 companies in the country. And then this averaging 10 to 15% per year. So why not put some, I'm not saying put it all in there, but I'm saying like my thinking is why not put some of it in there? You let that work on your behalf because you're not gaining anything with it just sitting in the bank and the bank is it's not giving you anything for it. I'm just gonna say not giving you anything for it, especially sitting in a regular savings account, or even if you're not familiar with the stock market or you don't trust the stock market for whatever reason, you could do a high yield savings account where they guarantee your 5% or 4%, whatever whatever kind of accounts you put your money into. So that was just my thinking on that is like do something with that money because it's losing value. Like we were just talking about a minute ago, like I spend almost $7 on a dozen eggs. Just like a certain kind of egg. I just do.
You got to save for a rainy day if you're spending $7 for a dozen. That's a rainy day fund right
Right.
there.
I
Yeah.
just like what I like. So I had to work hard for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, saving, the concept of saving
Hmm.
is more of a generational thing. I'll
Mm.
give you an example. Okay. Now, I shouldn't do this, but I will. So my mother, right? Okay. Grew up dirt poor, the whole bit. Okay, now I didn't know this, but she dropped this on me, and I looked at her like she was crazy. This was about 10 years ago, and she had just retired, and she's talking about going on cruises and all this other stuff. And she was saying, "Well, I guess I can't save as much now because I'm retired and I don't have, I'm on fixed income and I can't save as much as I used to." I said, "Save?" She says, "Yeah, I managed to save like $75,000. And everything else was like, want. $75. I said, "You mean like invest?" She says, "No. I had an account at, Burke and Herbert, and I say 75,000, and now I don't know how I'm gonna save any money." And I'm looking at her like she's crazy, right? Because she literally the discipline that it took to save that much cash over I don't know how many years, right?
Hmm.
Her salary wasn't 75,000,
Hmm.
right? And single parent taking care of me. I don't know how she did it.
Hmm.
But when you talk about savings in terms of looking at it like the S&P 500, these other vehicles, her generation ain't going to do it.
Hmm.
Because what I realized in that moment, the discipline that it took for her to save that amount of cash really meant she wasn't willing to lose. So that savings for her was her guaranteed
Hmm.
growth.
Hmm.
She wasn't looking at it as interest. I even asked, I said, well, man, how much they give you on interest? She said, interest? I don't know. I mean, like she was looking at me like I was crazy, right? So I think it's generational. Now, for us now, we understand the basic principles of how banks work. And
Hmm.
if for the viewers that are watching, banks basically take your money and lend it out to other people and other businesses, right? So if you think your bank is just putting this little cubby hole with your name on it and no one else touches it, I'm sorry to tell you, no. And they're going to give you pennies on a dollar, right, to essentially buy your services or your money so they can lend it out at 8, 9, 10%, depending on what if it's a car loan or a home mortgage or a business loan, personal loan, education loan. They're going to charge more interest in loaning your money out than what they're paying you, right?
Absolutely more. They get
So that's
whole
how money
percentages.
works, right? Exactly, and that's how money works in a nutshell with respect to dealing with financial institutions. And you're exactly right. Once you learn that and understand that, then you can say, okay, when I get my bank statement and you see 1.2%. Matter of fact, when was the last time the interest rates were really high? I think it was during the home mortgage crisis, right?
It
The house
was.
prices,
I think
yeah,
so.
it was like
Um,
5%.
right.
It was really high,
It was
and I was
really
like,
high
wow,
when
I've
the
never seen it
economy is
that high.
going bad. Then they
Yeah,
raise it kind of high. But even
yeah.
right now, you can get high yield savings accounts for like 4 or 5% right
Right,
now.
right, right. But I mean, just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen interest rates that high just from a regular, normal bank or a credit union
Right.
in forever.
Right.
That lets you know how bad the economy was, because banks are
Right.
saying we really need that cash. And
Right.
again, people, they're going to pay you more interest if they need more cash. And at that time, we had the housing market crisis. There was a cash crunch, and they were bailing out a lot of folks, and banks were essentially because people were pulling their money out of banks, right? So they were paying us higher interest for that, but they were reloaning that money out at
Mm-hmm.
another high interest rate. So
Mm-hmm.
we're losing on the back end technically. But
Exactly.
yeah, I think it's more of a generational thing when we're talking about hardcore savings.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas our generation, we do a little bit of savings to invest,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
An excellent point that you made there when you were saying that about that that's that safety.
Right.
I think that's major right there. I think I'm gonna even venture out and say, for the Black community, it's like we want to have that safety, or even, like I'm gonna say other generations, because we
Yeah.
get delivered,
Yeah.
getting delivered from that. Yeah, that they wanted that safety net
Right.
there, and I'm like, the stock market has been there for over 200 years, over 200 years.
Yeah.
It's been
And
there.
it's accessible now, right?
Exactly. And
It
even
wasn't accessible back in the day.
during the Great Depression, people still, stock market still went up. Still went up. People
Right.
still made some money in the stock market, even during the
Right.
Great Depression. And we've had Great Recession. We've had many things happen after that, and the stock market is still standing.
It is. It is. And
So,
people still have faith in it even when it goes down. Again, you had the
mhm,
housing market crisis. Even through COVID, there was a
mhm,
3 year period where the sky had fell out fell out the ceiling, man.
yes,
I mean,
yes,
I can say my investment portfolio got knocked in half, at least 60% almost,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
I know that things stay up more than they go down. But it
exactly.
takes discipline and self-control and confidence in the markets that it's going to turn back around. But when you take a hit like that, it can shake your confidence.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember that, and I think mine probably took a 50 to 60% hit during that
Oh,
time, but I kept on buying though during that
that's
time.
when you're supposed to do it.
That's when you're supposed to do it, when things are on sale.
Yeah,
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 like you
yeah.
want to go in there and
Bottom,
pay full price or even
yeah,
above market price for stuff. So yeah, I
exactly.
did. I kept on buying during that time, even though I was cringing. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a big
yeah.
hit right
Oh,
there. So,
you know what? In this chapter, and I highlighted this on page 14
hmm.
near let's see, that's the next to the last paragraph in the upper section. And you wrote, I learned how to research and invest in solid companies.
Hmm.
I took some of my money and invested it in my financial education.
Hmm.
Then I applied my financial knowledge. I learned how to make money work for me. That, in my opinion, is the most important piece of that
Hmm.
whole chapter.
Hmm.
Again, because everything you kind of touched on, you don't talk that way unless you learn it.
Right.
And one of the things that I jotted down in my notes is that financial education and learning the terminology and the definitions, and there are a whole bunch of them, can seem like a foreign language.
Hmm.
And I believe in the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Hmm.
You don't need to know all of those financial terms, right?
Hmm.
Leave that up to Ron and Sana and all those other guys, Jim. Let them do all of that stuff.
Hmm.
You learn what you need to learn to get
Hmm.
by. So if any of you have ever traveled to a foreign country, right, you're not going to be fluent in that language, but you just need to know just enough of that language to get a cab, get to your hotel, order your little food, say hi, we,
Hmm.
goodbye. That's all you need.
Hmm.
Treat financial literacy the same way. And then you can build up the vocabulary and build up the knowledge over time just to get going.
Hmm.
But like I said, I just made some notes that financial terms can look like a foreign language. You
Hmm.
don't need to know every term. Just know those that are relevant to the basic principles of savings and investing. And then just start, and I think you mentioned just in your chapter, and I wrote it down too. Start with like just really simple books. One of my first ones was Investing for Dummies, right? It really, because I was dumb. Hey, man, I'm a C student, right? So, hey, Investing for Dummies. And then the other thing I think you mentioned was YouTube. You
Hmm.
can learn, you can pretty much get a master's degree on YouTube, right?
Hmm.
I learned how to clean my son's his headlight lenses using baking soda and water to
Hmm.
get the scuffs out and get the cloudy stuff. I thought I had to get a professional, pay $200. Well, I had
Hmm.
a $2 box of Arm & Hammer baking soda and did it. But YouTube can educate you on a lot of
A
things,
lot
and
of
they keep it very,
things.
very simple by everyday people.
Hmm. Excellent, excellent points there that you made. Because it is a whole different language, but you have to start somewhere. YouTube
Mhm.
is free. It's
Free,
free. Yeah. You can start looking up how to research a company. You can start looking up what are the best companies in the United States. What are the best companies in the world? I mean, there's lots of entry points. The point is that we're making is get started.
right?
Get
Just get
started.
in,
Do
get in the
something.
game,
Get in the
get in
game.
the game. Yep.
Absolutely, get in the game. And also understanding too, like that safety, there's no safety net really. There is no safety net really. Because as I mentioned before, if your money is sitting, in your bank account, sitting under a pillow, under a mattress, wherever, in a safe in your home, you're losing value because inflation continues to go higher.
Yeah.
Like how we keep, when we were in school, you can go get $1 worth of gas and be good.
Oh, we was good. A
You
whole
be
week.
real good. Right.
Yeah,
For a few days, you could ride off
that's
that
it.
gas. $1 worth of gas. So it was
Right.
nothing for us to go to the gas station and spend $2. If you
Yeah.
got five, you was balling.
Oh, you was on another level. Oh, you balling for a
Right.
month. Yeah,
So put two in there and then say the rest go to McDonald's.
that's it. That's it. You get a dollar meal.
So, but now, like $2, you might not
Yeah,
even make it, from your house to a mile away on some
you
with
lucky.
$2 worth of gas. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's that inflation is not that the dollar or that something actually costs more, is that the dollar is decreasing in value. That's what you really got to understand. The dollar
Right,
is decreasing in value.
right,
So it takes more dollars to buy the same things that you could already buy. Like my
right,
eggs about $7, whereas
right,
eggs used to cost, well, those eggs I know used to cost like $3, $4.
right,
Now they've gone up. So
right.
yeah.
One of the things that for those, and I had this discussion with uh who was I talking to? Might have been talking to my wife. Or maybe my daughter, I forgot. I was talking to somebody. Look, my short-term memory ain't there anymore, right? I talk to people. I might be talking to myself, right?
Right.
But it happens, right? We have those moments,
Right, right.
senior moments. My AARP up there, I got to renew my membership anyway pretty soon, about time. But I was talking to someone the other day, and what I was saying was that if you want to be an investor, you got to choose what kind of investor you're going to be.
Mhm.
Are you going to be an active investor, meaning every day you're going to watch that ticker, you're going to go check your portfolio, you're going to
Mhm.
be making trades in and out of positions? What kind of investor are you going to be? Are you going to be a passive person where you just put your stuff into a vehicle, into some securities, and just like, you know what, I'll check it every quarter, right?
Mhm.
What I would suggest, and this is what I do, right? If I buy securities, right, and there are two things. Let me rephrase that. So I buy stocks, and then I also buy exchange traded funds, right?
Mhm. Love
Which
ETF.
right, ETFs, right? Because I'm all about liquidity, right? If I want to get out of a position, I don't want to have to jump through all of these hoops to get out of it, right? And I'll just go back. Mutual funds, ETFs, exchange traded funds pretty much operate the same way, right? It's a basket of funds or stocks, securities that are within a market sector. So Bitcoin, that kind of stuff, right? There is a exchange traded fund and a mutual fund for cryptocurrencies, and all the cryptocurrencies are in one basket. So instead of just buying one, you technically buy a whole basket of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you could buy them through a mutual fund, or you could buy it as an exchange traded fund. The difference between the two is that you can trade the exchange traded fund actively. So if I buy 100 shares of the Phil Thaxton exchange traded fund for cryptocurrency, and it's got 100 different cryptocurrencies in it, I can sell it in 2 months. And whatever the stock value is, that's what I get
Mm-hmm.
with no penalty, no load fees. I don't have to pay a broker's fee, any of that stuff. With the mutual fund, however, you have to go through all of those hoops to sell it. There's a penalty for liquidating, taking out stuff. I think it's 10% or something like that, depending on what brokerage you're
Mm-hmm.
using.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference. They both operate the same way in terms of investing as a vehicle. They're both good. But if you want to be more liquid and have quick access to your money in case you get a case of the cold feet and get scared, you probably want to get into the ETF. Uh, that's how I do it because I like liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with stocks, right? You know, when I buy stocks, I buy them in blocks of 100 shares, right? I'll buy a block of 100 and then I'll just sit still and watch it for a little bit and then go get another block of 100. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy them in $1,000. I know people who really
Mm-hmm.
go throw thousands of dollars. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just a retail investor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it does well, hey man, my son may want to get a car. I just sell those jokers, cash out, and then get back in position when it drops back down again.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing here in your book, you mentioned you have to be comfortable with the stocks that you're buying and how
Mm-hmm.
much you're willing to spend, but also how much you're willing to lose.
Mm-hmm. And excellent points you made there because I love buying ETFs and well S&P 500
Yeah,
VOO is one of them
yeah.
that I love. I love buying the was it VGI or VTI no VGI Vanguard the total
Vanguard.
stock market. So I think that's VTI the total stock market ETF because in that way once again it decreases the risk because you're investing into a basket of stocks instead of just one company. S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the US, and
Mm-hmm.
then that total stock market is literally the total stock market.
All of them. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, all the companies. So once again, reducing your risk and instant diversification because
Right.
those are like buzzwords that people always try to throw around. Like really a lot of that I really don't even care about. I really don't even care about. But
Right.
and then I stay away from mutual funds because of all those fees, like you were talking about, where I can
Yeah.
get the same thing over here in the ETF without paying all those fees and the
Right.
high liquidity. I can sell it, boom, right now myself, and initiate the trade, and my money hits my account. That's it.
Right.
It clears. I know with Schwab, I think it takes 2 days for your money to actually settle in your account.
Mm-hmm.
And this month they're supposed to be moving that to 1 day. So once again, I
Yeah.
just love the liquidity of it,
And
and
you don't pay fees with Schwab, right, for your trades.
not
See, I
on
have
like
E Trade. I don't pay any
right.
fees on E Trade.
For I mostly trade with Schwab, but my long term holdings are with was it E Trade
E
and
Trade, right?
a couple of other ones. But oh, I forgot what I was gonna say.
So you talk about money, you went blind on us over here,
I know, right? Where my money at?
yeah.
But
Go ahead. Did you
yeah,
get your frame
like
of
I was
mind
saying,
back?
I love that liquidity. I love being able to execute those trades on my own. I don't have to call a broker to do that. And I noticed I had to do that when I had mutual funds, when I thought I was really doing something with the
Yeah,
mutual funds
yeah,
back in the day. But now I know like I can do all that on my own. And
yeah.
like I said, I have instant diversification if that's what I'm looking for.